How come it didn't come up before? And he says, well, Dad, I'm sorry I forgot, but I've got to fix a ticket on the car. I've got to get it done before you get back from the trip. Let me have the money now. I'll explain it when you get back. Instinctively, they understand that under time pressure, you become flexible. So here in Haiti with this phone call, we all of a sudden had enormous time pressure on this negotiation. The problem was President Clinton was putting time pressure on the wrong side. When you have all the power in a negotiation, you don't put time pressure on your own ambassador. It caused Carter to give away things like agreeing to rent the general's houses and other things that he didn't have to do. You put time pressure on the other side. Now, here's a key point about negotiating, and I think this is the most important thing to learn, to understand, and know how to apply when you're negotiating. We didn't have the power in Haiti because we had the larger army. We had the power in Haiti because we had the most options. Options give you power. We didn't have to do a thing. We didn't have to invade, but we had very effectively limited General Cedrus's options to just 1 or 2 countries around the world who would even take him in exile. He now runs a graphic arts business out of his apartment in Panama City. That's the best he could do out of that negotiation because we had so severely restricted his options. So if you can convince the other person that the result of this negotiation is not that critical to you because you have all of these options available to you, that gives you power in a negotiation. If at the same time you can limit the other person's perception of the options that they have, which you do by positioning yourself in the marketplace as different than everybody else. Oh, sure, there are lots of other people in this business who could sell you this, but nobody has the sales, service, and repair backup that we do. We are unique. Nobody does it the way we do it. That limits the perception of the options that the buyer has. Then you have power coming at you from the other side. So the buyer's job in a negotiation is to convince you that they have options. That, well, they've got 6 other people that will all sell it to them at a lower price than you do. That is just their job in the negotiation. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just that they've learned a thing or two about negotiating, and they know if they can convince you that they have options, that makes you vulnerable in the negotiation. Your job is to convince the buyer that your sales and service are unique, that nobody else can match what you do, and then you have the power in a negotiation. Let's talk about another international incident. Let's talk about the hostages being held in Beirut. One of them for 6.5 years. Pérez de Cuellar, the UN Secretary General who got them out, would tell you that he got them out because he knew how to downplay the importance of the bargaining chip. He was finally able to convince those hostage takers that they didn't hold a very good bargaining chip there. We cared about these people, but we had warned them of the danger. We didn't care enough to change our policy on hostage taking, which is a very sensitive position to advance when people's lives are at stake. You will recall that President Carter did exactly the opposite. When he had the hostages in the Tehran embassy, he made it the focal point of his administration. He came right out and said, nothing is more important to me than getting these hostages out. I'm not going to leave Washington until we do. That is about the worst thing you can do in a negotiation. Just about the worst thing you can do is to let the other side know how much you care. I thought President Bush did an excellent job of getting our spy plane back from China. Remember that incident? We hit one of their planes and now we're on the ground. And George Bush is saying, well, you know, we'd like to get the plane back, but it's not that critical because we destroyed all the sensitive information and equipment on the way down. Oh, right, sure they did. They hit another plane in midair. They went into a spin. They had about 2 minutes before they were going to hit the ocean, and they were back there destroying the sensitive information and equipment? I don't think so. I think we desperately needed to get that plane back. That's not the way to negotiate, is it? Let the other side know how little you care, and you do a lot better in a negotiation. The hostage who was held longest in Beirut was Terry Anderson, the Associated Press bureau chief, held hostage for 6.5 years. He has a sister whose name is Peggy Say. And Peggy Say, financed by Associated Press, who should have known better, waged a battle for 6.5 years that we would never forget that her brother was being held hostage in Beirut. And everybody was saying, wasn't that wonderful? If you were being held hostage, wouldn't you love to have a sister like Peggy Say? Not me. I think it's very significant that he was the last prisoner released. I think she delayed his release by 2 years doing what she did. They probably didn't know why Terry Anderson was so important to us. All they knew was every time they opened up an American newspaper, here was Terry Anderson's picture on the front page. Don't let the other side